Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 17th of August, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1. The S&P ASX 200 closed the day up 0.3% to 7,128 points. The banks were mixed, with Commonwealth Bank down 1.8%, while the other 3 majors were higher. BHP and Rio were up, while Fortescue was down. The retailers were standout performers. Wesfarmers finished 2.2% higher, while Woolworths and Coles were both up around 2%. Goodman Group, the industrial property outfit, finished 2.5% higher. The best on the day was Challenger, up 5.6% following its big tumble yesterday, and Brambles was up 5% after a strong full-year result. Gaming Group PointsBet was the worst on the bourse, down 7.7%. Story number 2, blood plasma giant CSL's share price fell 1.3% today after announcing a 5% drop in its pre-tax profit for the last financial year. The decline was driven by lower plasma donations that culled sales of its core blood products. Overall revenue was up to $16.6 billion, but that was driven by a very strong performance from its flu vaccine business. It's been a very bad flu season globally. We know that here in Australia. But that's actually good news for CSL. Its seasonal influenza vaccine sales jumped 16%. Chief Executive Paul Perreault called it a resilient performance given the challenges of COVID-19. The good news is that second half plasma donations have improved materially, though at a cost because CSL has had to provide bigger incentives in the US to encourage people to give blood. Story number 3, oil and gas giant Santos has announced a tripling of its first half net profit thanks to sky-high prices. As a result, Santos increased its dividend to shareholders and upped the size of its buyback, which should feed through to higher earnings per share. Its share price fell 2.4% after the announcement. The company also said it was going ahead with the construction of a $2.6 billion oil project in Alaska, notwithstanding growing pressure to refrain from developing new fossil fuel resources. Santos owns about half the asset and expects to start producing oil by 2026. It claims it will be net zero thanks to a carbon offset project with the Alaska Native Corporation. Story number 4 comes from a couple of smaller retail groups. Bapcor, which owns retail brands including Autobarn and Burson, announced a 6% jump in net profit. Its share price was up about 2%. And Super Retail, which owns Rebel, BCF and Super Cheap Auto, among others, said its bottom line fell 20% thanks to lockdowns, but sales since June 30 had held up well. Super Retail's share price rose almost 5%. What they both demonstrate is that consumers are still spending, not just last financial year, but in the last couple of months as well. And that's really good for the economy. That's why those groups' share prices did well today. And finally, story number 5, Walmart, the retail giant, provided surprisingly upbeat sales and profit figures for the last quarter this morning, helping sentiment among investors. Now, Walmart is a bellwether for the economy because it's so big and many people who shop there are from lower socioeconomic groups. This morning it said its drop in earnings won't be as steep as expected. It has had to discount stock, particularly stuff that went off the shelves really quickly during the pandemic, things like electricals, TVs, that type of stuff. It has had to pay higher wages, but overall sales are up. The figures helped push the Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 higher this morning. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 17th of August, 2022. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning for the Thursday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.